And then he messages me. He's like, so I think it was along the lines of, would you feel at home on hospital?
Jesus.
And then I look at it. I'm just like, I just
He's
stared at the message for at least an hour. I didn't. I stopped doing everything and just stood like in the middle of the kitchen with like water running. I'm like, what is this real?
so walk me back to the like those first meetings or like first interactions. Do you remember like the first time? I guess you do. Like first time they reached out to you. Obviously, you did that remix of New Tones, so I guess you were like in contact there.
Yeah.
But walk me through like those first steps.
Yeah, so I think that was like, if there's a whole timeline from like when they first reached out to like the signing announcement, and like the remix was kind of in the middle because I think they asked me in like November, and then yeah, but okay, so the beginning, it was Tony messaged me on Instagram, I think, and just was like, it wasn't even anything about. Well, I'd like to think it wasn't anything about hospital. I mean, we were just like talking like music stuff, and then we're talking about records, and like I think I did like a Instagram like video or something, just like playing through like a couple like tunes on piano or something, and I tried playing one of his, and he like messaged me. He's like, "Oh, this chord was one thing off, but you're really close. That was cool." And then we started talking, and then he was like, "Yeah, I can kind of hear that in your music and all these influences and stuff." And then we kind of messaged back and forth, like every now and then. But then, like a month later after that, I think it might have been July of last year. It was just like a kind of a regular. I mean, regular for whatever it is. It's still like London electricity. So.
Yeah, it's never
Yeah,
entirely regular.
yeah. So like as much as I'm trying to be like, oh yeah, he's just a guy. Like, no, that's the guy you've been listening to for like so many years. You can just, every little intricacy of his albums, and it's like, oh, but he's just a guy. But then there's like a break in the conversation, and I was like doing chores or something around the house. I was like washing dishes or something. And then he messages me. He's like, so I think it was along the lines of, would you feel at home on hospital?
Jesus.
And then I look at it. I'm just like, I just stared at the message for at least an hour. I stopped doing everything and just stood like in the middle of the kitchen with like water running. I'm like, what is this real?
Yeah. Where's the prank? Where's the hidden camera?
Yeah, exactly. And like when I finally calm myself down, like an hour or two later, I'm like, I should just play it cool. Like, yeah, I mean, hospital's all right, it's cool. But at the same time, just
And
like,
in
I
your
don't
head,
wanna be
it's like, yes, please, list.
yeah. It's like, where do I sign right now? Just take it. But I was like, I've always and then I like send him like an actual thought out message. I'm like, I like always considered it. It's not that I was aiming for hospital, but I've always been aiming for something like that, I guess, to where maybe not being signed, but it's just like getting to a point where, or like working with someone or a label or whatever, that I can just like have like a working relationship, release music at like I don't know, more like an elevated level, I guess. Like I'm saying, working up to this, like I thought, yeah, at some point I'll have like a release or something on hospital, like a compilation, cool, like check off that box, like everyone wants to do. But I didn't think it'd be like this, and I didn't think it'd be this soon. So yeah, I kind of told him. Well, I didn't go that far, but I was just like, yeah, that that'd be really cool. I'm kind of working towards something like that. He was like, yeah, cool, because I kind of see that. And he started talking. He's like, you know what? I'll keep in touch. And then that was that. And then it was like quiet for like a month or two. I was like, so what happened there? It's like, I don't want to be the guy who's like, hey, you asked me this question. Can't we just go back to it real quick?
You can't bring it up again.
Yeah. And then I got like, just out of the blue, like an email from Chris Goss about the, just like wanting to chat. It's like have a meeting. And then like a week or two later, I had like, I had to get up at like 5 a.m. because, the time difference. And then I'm talking to Tony and Chris like over Zoom. Tony's walking his dog in the park, and you can like hear the squeaky toy and stuff in the background. And he's just asking me questions. I'm like, this is too like normal. What's going on here?
Something's not right.
Yeah, he's just like literally on his phone, just like sitting under a tree while his dog runs around in circles. And they're like, yeah, so your music and we see you do this, and what do you think about hospital? Because we might have like be able to take on a new artist in like a year or so. And I'm trying my hardest to play it like, yeah, that makes sense. I was thinking I'm like working on this, and inside I'm just like, oh my God, are they serious right now? Just started freaking out. And that was like, I think it was August or something like that, because I had just started school or something. So I'm trying to like get the timeline right. And then like it was like that intro meeting, and it was like, yeah, we'll keep in touch, keep sending us music. We kind of have this loose plan for if things go right, or not right, but if things want to move forward and you decide you want to keep reaching out and stuff. And then I thought that was it, just kind of like meeting. Yeah, they'll check back in a little bit. A week later, they're like, we need a remix for Degs. So can you? Exactly. It's like every time I think that's kind of it. It's like the next day or two, or a week, there's like a new thing. It's like, we need a remix for Degs. And like when some guy like pulled out or something happened, they're like, we need it in 2 weeks. Can you do it? It's like, I'm not going to say no, but I don't know if I can do it or not. Not going to pass this up. And then that whole thing happened, and kind of it worked. I don't know. Yeah.
Did you have any? Because I talked about same subject with Mike Kiss a few episodes back, and when they first reached out to him, he was like, "Nah, not interested." And from his perspective, it was more like not being tied to one label and having freedom to release himself or other labels, whatever. And then he eventually got a call from Tony, who explained to him hospital and ethos and everything that it means to be a hospital artist, and then it really spoke to him, and he jumped on board. Did you have any reservations about signing to hospital? Because I think it's fair to have reservations in any case. So
definitely, I definitely thought about it, and I've had like a lot of time because nothing was finalized until February, and I was just like, every day I'm thinking about, is this what I want? How's this going to work out? I've heard not just about hospital, just like labels in general and things like that. And up until then, I was mostly doing things myself with like self-releasing, and then I had only just started working like with Gold Fat that year because Johnny reached out, and then Solvent later in the year, which was funny because like I had talked with Jack, who's Pola and Bryson, at Solvent about like the same thing about like working with Solvent long term. And like a week later, Tony's like, nope, we're talking to you now. And he's like, oh, I didn't know you guys were doing that. I was like, I didn't know either, man. I'm sorry.
Oh, so you actually approached Solvent before hospital?
They can't, because they were just like, oh, we didn't know, because it's the usual, like, we didn't know any American artists or that kind of thing. And it's like, yeah, it's me and maybe two other people, but it's me. So but yeah, about like what you're asking, like there's always like, you can do things independently or with the label, or like there's just so many options. And what I came to is like, at this stage, I've done up until this point, I've done basically everything I can do up to like what they're doing, like what hospital, like the plans and stuff, how they plan things out is where I was kind of moving myself, like with having like release almost campaigns and things thought out. And like I've always been very much like, okay, I got the music side, I'm good with the music, like I can write a tune. That's the easy part. It really is the easy part out of like when it comes down to trying marketing and come up with like plans and like all this stuff to like get people to listen, because that's the hardest part. Like I can write songs all day every day, but trying to convince someone to listen to it is the hard part. So they like kind of notice that, like we see like how much thought you put outside of just writing music, and we want to, help you with that. And it came to the point, it was like, I could keep doing this all myself, or I could just kind of offload that side to someone that's trying to help me out, and to, like, I can just handle the music part more or less. Like, I still come up with ideas and stuff and like everything that I would normally do. But now I'm just like, hey, person at hospital who handles the promo stuff, this is my plan. What do you think? And they're just like, yeah, do it. And we'll help you out with our hundreds of thousands of fans everywhere. I'm like, cool.
Sounds
It's
good.
like, yeah. It's like, now my dumb ideas aren't just limited to my few friends.
And your
It's
bedroom.
everybody. So, but it's just like, it's me. I see it as having like this. I mean, it is what it is. It's like a huge resource that you can take advantage of, and some artists don't see it as that. They see it as limiting, but it's only limiting a lot of the times when you don't speak up for yourself. Because in the, like, a lot of times when you hear bad stories, of course, there's some labels that are like predatory, and will like, just, we took your track, we're taking half your royalties, deal with it. What are you going to do about it? But there's space in there to say, hey, I want to do this, or I want to try this, or can you do this for me? Because in the end, it is an agreement. It is a deal between like two parties to help each other. It's like, I supply the music, you supply the platform, the everything else, and the label doesn't, like, you can be a label, but you need music, and I can always write music, or someone. There's always going to be like the people that write music. And they can exist by themselves, but a label isn't. I mean, a label is just like what is that without music?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
So you have to find. So there has to be that balance that. I just thought of like a big word that I don't know them.
No, go
I don't know,
go
like
for it.
symbiotic relationship. There you go.
I like it.
It's just like one. Yeah, I know. I can have one good idea every one of these.
That's going on the quote of the episode.
Yeah, it's just like, there's got to be give and take on both sides, but you have to know when to speak up for yourself. I think like a year ago, if this happened, or it did happen a year ago, so 2 years ago, I wouldn't have known. And then I probably would have been like, wait, I don't know if I'm ready for this now, just because like I didn't know what I want. I was kind of figuring out things. But once they did ask me like last year, I'm like, yeah, I want to do this is what I want out of this. I know, I mean, of course it's hospitals, like it's a dream, it's all of that, but it's also a business. And like, my job as the artist is to do what I can do, and their job as a label is to do what they can do. And once that's like understood or taken care of, it's just like, it is kind of just fun, and let's ride this ride.
Yeah.
But it's the overwhelming part of, it's the business still. And I think that's what scares a lot of people away, and what also provides a lot of reservation. They're like, oh, they're going to take over, they're going to change me. It's like, no, most of the time that's the changes that you don't like, or the things that happen that you don't like, is a lot of times you just not speaking up for yourself. And maybe I'm getting a little too like deep into that, because that's kind of not what you asked, but I kind of got around to that somehow.
Go for it.
Yeah.
No, but I definitely agree with what you said, that it's not just like, I was just making the parallel in my mind that I started a job recently, for example, and I was doing interviews in the months leading up to the job with different companies, and an interview for like a regular office job like I have is not just a question of, please take me, I want to, like, I need work. It's also like, do I fit with your company? Like, do you really want me in your company? Do I want to work in this job? Like, it's that two-way street that you're talking about. And obviously it's very similar with signing to a label, because it is also a business relationship beyond the music. So it would make sense that, you need to speak up for yourself and say, okay, this is what I envision, this is what I want to achieve, etc.
I mean, I don't know why it took me. You just like really pointed that out. It's like, you more or less are a business partner.
Yeah.
So you gotta have that line of communication, and it's not. Somebody else just thought it's not just at like the level of hospital or Shogun or Critical or whatever. these big labels. Like you can do it at any point. And I think that's kind of what scares a lot of people, especially when you're new. It's just like, oh, they're giving me a release, I should be grateful. It's no, they need you. I mean, you got to kind of be realistic. It's like you might not have that much of a bargaining chip right now being the new person, but you can still speak up for yourself.
Yeah.
You don't have to just take whatever somebody offers you. Like the next, oh, you want to release? Cool. Well, we're not going to promote it, or we're not going to do this, or all the things that happen as a younger, or not young, but like newer, less experienced. Kind of like I've made all these mistakes, signed things I shouldn't have signed, released tunes that I look back like that was not ready. Like what did they want? But yeah, it's all part of the journey. Like
yeah.